I'm joined by my colleague, Councilmember Mike Bonin. Today is Tuesday, October 15th. Thank you all for joining us here in room 1060 and those who are listening on council audio. With that, Mr. Bonin, if I can direct your attention to today's agenda.
So correct.
Thank you so much. We have anyone for general public comment?
We have one speaker for general public comment.
Is Herman here? Herman's not here. He's out of the room. Let us now close general public comment. With that, let's take items, let me recommend to take items 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 on consent. Mr. Bond, you want to hold any of those items on the desk?
Nope.
Okay, we'll approve those items and send those off to council. I don't see Marquise here yet. Okay, with that, I believe we anticipate one of our colleagues, Marquise Harris-Dawson, Councilmember Harris-Dawson, to join us here for item number 1. So we'll hold item number 1 and wait for his arrival. Let's take item number 2. If you can, Mr. Clerk, read that into the record, please.
Good afternoon, John White, Office of the City Clerk. Item 2, motion Koretz, Krikorian, Rue, Buscaino, instructing the CLA and the CAO, with the assistance of Los Angeles World Airports and the City Attorney, to report relative to the feasibility of securing an independent consultant to address concerns and community impacts of flight patterns at the Van Nuys and Hollywood Burbank airports.
Thank you. Any cards on this item?
You have...
Just Herman?
Yeah.
Okay, let's close the cards on item 2.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Adams here, representing LAWA. If you could just share with us what efforts have been taken to address the noise concerns, and has the FAA been responsive to the community concerns that have been raised by the altered flight paths? If you can start with those 2 questions, that would be great.
Sure. Mark Adams, Los Angeles World Airports, Government Affairs.
Hold on, excuse me. Herman, you just walked into this meeting, and you just disrupted this meeting. That's your last warning. Mr. Adams, continue.
The Burbank and Van Nuys airports organized a task force comprised of various elected officials and their representatives that has met twice. The purpose of that task force was sort of to fill the role that was envisioned in this motion, to gather information about the changes in flight patterns over the San Fernando Valley and to make recommendations to FAA. FAA is an active participant on the task force. They don't sit on the task force, but FAA, LAWA, and Burbank Airport staff are all in the room to, assist the task force members and provide answers to their questions. We've had 2 meetings.
Okay.
The first meeting was sort of a organizational and take some initial public comment and take some provide some information about the nature of the problem and what's happened to date to the task force members. The second meeting was geared toward getting more information from the public, in particular getting a detailed presentation from one of the community groups that has specific recommendations they'd like to pursue. The third meeting, which was going to be scheduled for October, was we couldn't make a quorum, so it's now the beginning of November, and we're going to have that meeting and have more community groups making presentations and requesting procedural modifications at that meeting.
So
we envision 6 meetings in all.
Okay, and as of today, the recommendation has not come out of this task force.
That's correct, and it wouldn't be until early next year. We're going to be meeting roughly monthly for a total of 6 meetings as it's planned out.
And do we know if FAA is at the table of these
Yes,
last 2 meetings?
FAA, the regional administrator, Raquel Gervin, has been to the meetings. William Freeman, who's he's like the community liaison, has been at the meetings, and we're going to actually at the December meeting have a detailed presentation from the FAA technical staff coming from Seattle, who are going to describe how the flight track patterns and all have been developed and will be assessed.
Okay. Mr. Bonin, questions? Okay, I know Mr. Rue's office wants us to move this. I would have continued it, but out of respect to Mr. Rue's office, we would send this item straight to council and approve item number 2. I know there's a number, 4 more meetings that's going to take shape, right, in the coming months.
Right, I mean, early next year, by early next year, we would have the four meetings done, and hopefully at that point in time, the task force will have recommendations and requests for FAA in terms of what changes they'd like implemented in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay, so we'll approve item 2. That'll be the order. Thank you for your presence. Oh, stand by. We've got Wayne Spindler to speak on item number 2. And 1 and 8. Let's knock you out here. Let's give you 2 minutes, and then
Yes, sir.
and we already closed general public comment.
You did, niggas? Oh,
Stick to the item. That's your last warning.
yeah. Now, which item am I speaking of for? Okay, we're talking about the airport. The filthy, dirty, nigger-infested airport called LAX. You call it LAWA, I call it horseshit. Now, we got here, I take a plane ride, and now I go up and I try to Uber my ass up, but now I can't even get a taxi anymore to the upper level. And why is that? Because Mike Bonin lied. He lied.
Uber has nothing to do with item number 2.
Well, it's the feasibility of independent consultants to address the shit going on. Why the faggot lied about the way you get to the airport and back. You told
just
us.
forfeited your time.
No,
Your
but
time.
he told me this,
Okay,
right?
who's the next? He's just forfeited time. He's not sticking with the items. He's been warned. Okay, Herman, same routine. You pulled cards on 1, 2, and 8. Is that correct, Mr. Clerk?
That's correct.
Okay, come forward. 2 minutes, and we already closed general public comment. Stick to the items, otherwise you'll be asked to leave as well.
What were the items again?
You pulled the cards. You know the items.
Would you please repeat them for me, because I'm asking you politely, would you please repeat the numbers you ordered me to speak on, because I signed up on every item like I always do. So what were the
So
items, sir? I'm
The
disabled.
discussion items 1, 2, and 8.
Thank you. Was that so difficult? Just because I have a disability, I should not be discriminated against. To monitor the carriers of warehouse operations. You see, the real shit is here. The Port of Los Angeles to comply. Comply for worker classification and not hire wetbacks here illegally fucking up our system of employment. After all, I've been looking for a job, and all I get to do is my pro bono work here in LA for wages and hours, to the right that I have a health care and a safety program and not the restraints of a TRO. However, labor human rights standards to encourage a nigger like me to return to work to the community as an operator and consultant for the city of this fucked up, dirty city, LA. Then you got LAWA. Fucking rude, fucking racist motherfucker. Shit going on in our community for feasibility and securing our airports, but you fucking cunts can't keep these fucking Korean people from stealing our shit.
Okay, you forfeited your time.
No, I'm on addressing the concerns of
that is fine.
community impact to
Koreans have nothing to
fight.
do with this item. Go sit
I'm
down,
on
please.
item 2.
Sit down. You're now disrupting the meeting. You got to leave. Thank you. Sit down. Take your paperwork with you. Is that your paperwork? Okay. So with that, let's believe we need to reconsider items 4 and 7. We have a member of the public like to speak on. Is there Michelle Autry here? Michelle Autry, no? Okay. Disregard the reconsideration. So with that, let's move on to item number 1.
Approve item 2, sir.
Let's approve item number 2. Without objection, that'll be the order. And we have before us for item number 1, if you can just read that into the record, please.
Item 1, communication from the Mayor and City Ethics Commission report relative to the appointment of Mr. Kareem Webb to the Board of Airport Commissioners for the term ending June 30, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. With that, I want to invite our colleague, Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson, to come speak on item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I just wanted to stop by this committee to lend my strongest support to the nominee that the mayor has put before us for Airport Commissioner, Mr. Kareem Webb. There is no more stand-up citizen of our city and contributed to our city than Mr. Webb. He also happens to be a graduate of Morehouse College in Atlanta.
That's why you're here.
And we have some good experience with graduates of that college in this city. But not only does Mr. Webb come with his own expertise, but he also comes with a large community and a large family that has been a part of the fabric of our city for a long, long time. And so I encourage an enthusiastic aye vote on his nomination to the Airport Commissioner. Thank you all so much.
Appreciate your presence, Marquise. Thanks for being here. Let's call Mr. Webb up to come forward. Thank you for your interest in serving our city and the country's premier airport. So much happening there. Tell us a little about yourself and why would you like to serve on the commission?
I'm the son of two people who love LA, so I was born into the tradition of caring about LA, and not only just ourselves and our family, but really being philanthropists. My parents, I'm really blessed. They're graduates of Dorsey Emmanuel Arts High School. Grew up in single-parent households, made the best of what LA has to offer, and so. I own several Buffalo Wild Wings in and around the city, one being in the Crenshaw District. It's lent itself to being engaged philanthropically. I've been the board chair at LA Southwest College, serve on the board of California Community Foundation, and excited about the opportunity to make certain that the money we spend and the service we provide at the airport benefits all of our citizens.
Fantastic. As you know, we're experiencing a $14 billion investment in the infrastructure. It's one of LA's greatest jobs plans that you see before you. Let me ask you about obviously coming from a business mindset, I think it's important for us to move on these projects, and if you look at what's taking place in our terminals, to continue to support minority-owned, women-owned businesses. What's your take on that? I'm assuming you're going to embrace those efforts.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, as an entrepreneur and as a retail operator, I've been approached several times. I think there are ways in which programs can be enhanced to make sure people have access to capital to compete in ways that they currently can't. But I'll also, be honest that I don't know as much as I will once I'm briefed about the inner working from the airport perspective and some of the partners at the airport, Westfield and Host and others from the retail side. But I do know that all of the citizens in LA are capable, and when surrounded with the resources necessary to compete, and they do, we all benefit.
Got it. So be prepared as we're experiencing this infrastructure improvement that you're going to get family and friends calling you about the traffic woes in our airport. Okay. Mr. Bonin?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Mr. Harris Dawson, for coming and testifying on behalf of the appointment. I'm excited by this. This is a commission that I keep a very close eye on, obviously. The airport's in my district, a lot of key things there, and so I always give a lot of scrutiny to the commission appointments for this one. Couldn't be happier with the mayor's selection. Mr. Webb and I spent about an hour together discussing this position, and at the end of it, he was still willing to serve, which I consider to be a good thing, and I did warn him that he would be getting phone calls. Okay. I told him he'd be getting phone calls from people on the tarmac who are upset that their plane hasn't taken off, and you'll be getting both.
We're waiting for a gate, for a gate, right?
No, I'm very glad to see this appointment. I think you have a great history and incredible acumen and expertise that will really be a benefit to the commission, and I look forward to working with you. So I recommend approval.
Very good. Well, with that, we'll send the recommendation off to council, and we'll approve this recommendation from Mayor Garcetti, and we're looking forward to seeing you in full council soon. When's that scheduled, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Webb has requested a date of Friday, October 25th.
Fantastic. We'll see you then, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for agreeing to serve our city and our airport.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Councilman.
Thanks, Marquise. All right, our final item of the day let's take item number 8. Item number 8 is now before us. If you can read that into the record, please.
Item 8, resolution Buscaino-Bonin urging all motor carriers and warehouse operators that do business at the Port of Los Angeles to comply with all state, local, federal laws, including laws regarding worker classification, wages and hours, labor rights, and health and safety, and cargo owners to enforce their codes of conduct and require their subcontractors to comply with labor and human rights standards, and to encourage customers who left Cal Cartage and FI to return their work to the community and the new operator and to the same workers who previously moved their goods.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'm really proud of how far we've come on ensuring that businesses on our port complex follow the damn rules and abide by the law. And what we have before us is, if you recall, Mr. Bonin, on October 12th of last year, this council vetoed an action of the Board of Harbor Commissioners that extended a lease with California Transload Services, known as CTS, previously known as Cal Cartage, for a city-owned warehouse located on port property at 2401 East PCH in Wilmington. CTS and the various subsidiaries and divisions of parent company NFI had repeatedly been found in violation of federal, state, and local labor laws, employment and health and safety laws, and the council rightfully stood up for the rights of working men and women to wages they are legally entitled to, benefits they're legally entitled to, and safe working conditions that they are legally entitled to. And October 3rd of this year, the Board of Harbor Commissioners approved a revocable permit with Toll Global Forwarding for the warehouse previously occupied by CTS Cal Cartage, which vacated the property on August 2nd. It was important for us, if you recall, Mr. Bond, to have a seamless transition, that we don't lose a workforce that are already there. And this resolution before us today urges motor carriers and warehouse operators to comply with all federal, state, and local laws, urges cargo owners to enforce their own codes of conduct in relation to companies that they contract with to move their goods, but most importantly, urges companies that took their businesses away from CTS Cal Cartage to consider bringing it back to the new warehouse operator to ensure local jobs remain in place for long-time workers at this facility. I don't know, Mike, if you remember, people were freaking out over the 245 on this. They said, we're going to lose hundreds of jobs.
I remember.
Did that happen?
I do not
No.
believe it did, no.
So I'm really pleased with how far we've come. I want to bring up Jessica Durham to speak. She's a speaker that pulled on item number 8. Please come forward.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jessica Durham. I'm the director of the Ports Project at Lane. We're part of the Our People, Our Port Coalition, which stands in solidarity with the truck drivers and warehouse workers at the ports. I want to thank you for your leadership and taking a stand to make sure that the companies that do business at our ports follow the laws, respect their workers, starting with the committee field hearing at the ports 2 years ago that you chaired to bring these many issues to light, up to the resolution before you today. This month marks a huge step forward for these workers at the port operation at PCH who are finally be getting back to work. And we're glad there are standards in the new lease and officials like you who will make sure that they're enforced. For the new operation to be successful, for the workers, for the community, and for the port itself, there needs to be work. So we join you in calling upon retailers to bring their work back. This includes companies like Lowe's, TJ Maxx, Amazon, Rio Tinto. We want them to partner with high road law-abiding companies and not with companies that violate our labor and employment laws. So we support this resolution, and we thank you for your leadership.
Thank you so much for your presence. Mr. Bonin, want to chime in on this? You good?
Nope.
Okay, very good.
All good.
So with that, let us approve item number 8 and send that to council.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a final item.
It
So
is.
with that, we're now adjourned. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you.